Step number 3, wrong habits is to be corrected. And step number 4, nature is to be assisted in her efforts to expel impurities and to reestablish right conditions in the system. And we praise God for this information. And we know that any one of those laws that we do violate, then we know that disease is a direct cause of that. So, Lord, we just want to thank God for this opportunity that He has given to us. And the Lord says that His people perish for lack of knowledge, but we are so thankful that God doesn't leave us in darkness. So I know some persons are waiting patiently for today's program. So I will now hand over to our presenter, Sister Razia Swan. And I know that she's eagerly waiting also. She's patiently waiting. And I know the information that she has to share, we will truly be blessed indeed. So even now, while our presenter is coming, I just want to encourage us to share the flyer with all those you know who need this information. There are so many persons who need it. So I will now hand over to our dear sister, Razia Swan. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the invitation to speak this evening. Brother Shard, may I share my screen for the presentation?
Yes, go ahead. You could go ahead.
Okay.
You are co-host, so you should have the privilege to share your screen. So go ahead and do so.
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen and it's it's not letting me share my PowerPoint presentation.
On your, what are you seeing?
Okay, let me just try. I'm trying to share my PowerPoint presentation. It's not letting me. So let me try something different.
Okay. Can you tell me what you're seeing? Is it telling you that you do not have the privilege?
A caution sign comes up with a yellow triangle. I've never seen that before, but okay.
Allowed to, so I can know what.
Let me see. Let me try again. Yeah, it's not letting me upload my PowerPoint. See.
Are you seeing on your end?
Yeah, it's just not letting me upload my PowerPoint presentation. I don't know why, but
would you like me to share it for you? Is that okay? You could send it to me and then I could share it for you.
All right. How would you like for me to send it to you?
Okay, I'm just going to put the email address in the chat right now. So it's leap2healthministry@gmail.com. leap2healthministry@gmail.com. It's in the chat. leap2healthministry@gmail.com. And I've got my email open, so I'll just get it immediately. And we thank you guys for your patience, technology.
Yeah,
And so we'll just give us a few more minutes as we get her PowerPoint on screen. In the meanwhile, Brother Shah just talked about disease. So if somebody could drop in the chat for me, what are the laws of health? And when disease comes, what should we do? There are 4 things that we must do. Who would like to go ahead and put it in the chat right now as I wait for the email to get it on screen. And we're live on YouTube. Remember to text your friends, share the flyer that we're live on YouTube for persons who do not have. Okay, Shanicia, yes, you can unmute yourself if you want to help her. I'm not sure what challenge she's having over there. Go ahead, Shanicia.
Hello, this is actually Enoch, and so you have your slides on Canva, right?
No, I've been showing it it's our well, I just sent it. I just sent the presentation to the email address.
Oh, okay.
I
You
got
have
it.
them
So
on
I'll do it now.
All right then.
Thanks, Enoch. I've sent it to.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, but I need to get access from you because it came by Google. So I need to get access. So I've just sent you the request to get access.
Okay. Yeah, Enoch, I
Okay, it's opening up, I believe, because it's Google Slides. So in a moment or so, I should be able to share this for you. Okay, so I do have it. I'm using a double screen, so I'm going to open up. You tell me if you're seeing the major slide and not the smaller slide. So give me a moment, still loading, and then I'll be able to start sharing. So can you tell me if you're seeing?
It's still loading.
okay.
Okay, we're seeing the smaller one now.
Okay, I will go on. Okay, this is slideshow. Can you see what it says
Yes.
loading?
Yeah.
Okay, so we just okay, perfect. I think we've got it now. All
Great.
right, I'm at your service.
Okay, how to reverse your autoimmune disease without medications. You can go on. Tap into your body's healing power with me, Razia Swan, ND, helping you to heal naturally. Now, results disclaimer, this is for training purposes only. This product and training is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent illness or disease. None of these statements have been evaluated by the FDA. Only God can cure disease. God alone is the great physician. Bless the Lord, who forgiveth all thine iniquities. Next slide. So I'm going to start off with a story. You can go back one. With a story of Mr. Belfridge. When I met Mr. Belfridge, he was experiencing severe pain due to arthritis, and he was fed up with medications and suffering with all of the side effects from them. He sought my help to reverse his condition naturally. Although he found it challenging to adhere fully to the program, he still achieved an 80% reduction in his pain levels, and he was extremely happy. So with what he was able to accomplish, this was indeed a success, and he was very excited about this achievement. So how would you like to reduce your pain levels? Can you change the slide? Type yes in the comments if this is you. Now, who is this presentation for? If you have been recently diagnosed, this presentation is for you. If you have a loved one that has been diagnosed with autoimmune disease, it's for you. It's for anyone with a family history of autoimmune disease. It's for anyone who is interested in learning about the immune system. It's for anyone who is a health professional, anyone who's a busy professional, anyone who wants to help others. It's for anyone who may have other chronic disease issues. It's for anyone who has an autoimmune disease. Next slide. So I want to let you know briefly about myself. My name is Razia Swan, and I began my natural healing education over 14 years ago. I began to take courses, and I became medical missionary trained, and I went on further to receive a Doctor of Naturopathy in Original Medicine. So let's move on and share some more. I'm going to begin this presentation by sharing with you my story. In my late 20s and throughout my 30s, I lived in a world dominated by allergies. It was as if my body had declared war on me. I suffered from severe reactions that often escalated to the point of needing emergency care. I can still remember the panic that surged through me as I broke out in hives that covered my entire body. My throat swelled to the point where I couldn't even swallow. There was a time when I was kept overnight in the hospital, tethered to monitors in case my airway closed. It was terrifying and exhausting, living in constant fear of the next flare-up. If anyone knows about allergies, they know that allergies are a manifestation of the inflammatory immune system. Let's move on. Everywhere I went, I carried a small pharmacy with me. Prednisone, antihistamines, emollients, they all became my constant companions. I desperately sought freedom from the restless cycle of suffering. All I wanted was a life free from the prison of my allergies. A life where I could breathe easily, where I could enjoy a lunch or dinner outside or out at a restaurant, anywhere, without the looming dread of a reaction and going from restaurant to hospital. So, yep, I was on medications. Next slide. Now, at this point, you can go on. I was very frustrated and feeling kind of lost. Despite my efforts, you can go back one. Go back a slide. Despite my efforts, I tried everything that was recommended. Allergy medications, steroids, hydrocortisone cream, emulsifying wax. Each time I clung to hope, believing that maybe this time would be different. But time and time again, I found myself in the same place, exhausted, frustrated, and still dependent on medication with no end in sight. So if you had seen the slide two slides back, you could see the girl with her hands frustrated. And that's exactly how I felt when I was, during this time in my life. I was very frustrated because I was taking medications and just going in a vicious cycle of flare up and then going to the hospital. So I was running in a vicious cycle with severe flare-ups, medications, hospital, more medication, relief. After I got relief from the medications, I would get another severe flare-up, be back on medications, go back to the hospital where I was medicated more. So this cycle was going on, and it went on for years, believe it or not. Until finally one day, I had an aha moment. You know that moment when the light bulb goes off? That's what we call an aha moment. So then came a moment when everything changed. I opened up about my struggles to a health educator, a medical missionary, who took the time to listen. It was an unassuming conversation, but it became a pivotal turning point in my life. She began to coach me, and my eyes opened to the fact that I didn't have to accept this existence as my reality. I remember her words vividly. You don't have to live this way. Hearing that was like a light bulb going off in my head. It ignited a sense of hope that I didn't even know existed. The revelation came when she suggested that I switch to a plants-only diet. Well, guess what? I was practically raised vegetarian. I grew up learning about the benefits of a vegetarian diet. Why didn't I think of this before? Somehow, throughout my young adult years, when I was more concerned about my ministry, social life, friends, and looking fly, that I lost the sight of some of the things that I had learned as a child. The power of food to provide healing and health. This was something as simple as changing my diet was the very thing I possibly needed to reverse the years of suffering that I had experienced. I was very sure she was right, and I gave it a shot. After all that I had been through, it was worth trying, right? Next slide. So, if you can see this slide, it says all or nothing. I went in 100%. So I took the plunge and I went all in. I switched to a plants-only diet, but it took work. I still had a lot of things to overcome mentally. I had been caught up in things like high protein diet and keto diet, all these other diets and myths. And even though I had changed my diet, I had to sort of unlearn all the things that I had immersed myself in leading up to this point. So I had to learn about plant-based nutrition. I learned about how it could help me to heal. And it still took time to learn how to balance my foods correctly. 1 month passed, and I had no allergy symptoms, no problems. Another month passed, and again, no allergy problems, no flare-ups. Another month, and so on and so on. And that was it. My body had healed. I found myself no longer afraid of severe flare-ups and not being able to swallow or breathe. It no longer felt like my life was threatened. It felt like a miracle of God. I was so happy that I had finally found something that worked. I tested this. Months passed, and still I had no allergy problems. It was like, wow, my allergies are really gone. I've now lived for 14 years without the shackles of allergies. 14 years of enjoying life without fear from reactions or the anxiety of emergency room visits. My battle with allergies was over, praise God. The transformation was profound. No longer was I just free from physical ailments caused by allergies. I had discovered a new way of living that nourished my body and soul. There was no turning back. Now, I discovered the hard way. 14 years ago, I began my plant-based healing journey. Little did I know that my healing from allergies 14 years ago was just the beginning of more personal battles, more health challenges with autoimmune disease, more struggling and learning more and more, growing, and more time spent discovering ways to heal. So perhaps you've had a similar journey. Perhaps you are like me and you've been diagnosed with some sort of chronic illness, and you have been searching high and low, maybe over decades, for solutions that actually work, and not just work for the moment, but you desire a permanent change. If you can relate to me and my story, I want you to type me in the comments. So you may have been unsuccessful in reversing your chronic illness in the past. It may be chronic allergies, or it could be an autoimmune disease like what I'm going to talk about. And well, it's not really your fault. There is an abundance of confusing information out there. Many times it's the information overload that keeps you and us from success. And this is totally understandable. If you've worried about your ability to reverse your autoimmune disease or any other chronic condition, let me reassure you, it is possible to reverse your illness with the right guidance. Mainstream medicine often leads you to believe that you must rely on medications, blame genetics, and accept incurability without adhering to their doctrines about disease. However, I'm here to tell you that they are frequently mistaken. There are alternative approaches that challenge their narrative. So over the last 14 years of navigating my own health challenges, I did a lot of research and investigation. I wanted to master my health naturally. I wanted to get this thing down, so to speak. I traveled extensively, trained rigorously, and invested significant time and money. And you can see on this slide a list of things that I did. I took classes in natural remedies. I shadowed a medical missionary. I completed a 10-day detox program. I got certified in medical administrative assisting. I volunteered at a pattern lifestyle retreat. I graduated from Amazing Facts Center of Evangelism. I completed a natural remedies work study / medical missionary training. I completed a 17-day disease reversal program. I got certified in online instructing. I completed a 10-week training in RBTI body chemistry analysis testing, and I graduated from the International Institute of Original Medicine with the Doctor of Naturopathy degree. So, of course, I'm going to drag you through 14 years of study.
Sister Angela got kicked off a bit, so let me just see. Oh my. Okay, I'm going to attempt to share it for you, Sister Lisa. What number will be on the slides? I do have it before me, but I'm not seeing the exact.
24. Slide 24.
24. Okay, let me see now. 24.
I'm sorry that you got dropped like that.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to share now. Yes.
Okay, hang in there.
My
folks.
internet is still unstable. It's my internet.
It happens.
Yes. Okay. Is that the slide, Sister Liz?
No. It's about 2, maybe 3 slides before that. It says I'm gonna teach you in what, just a few hours.
Okay.
Hey, there we go. All right, so in this class, I'm going to teach you a few things that I like to begin with when sharing about reversing autoimmune disease. And that is dealing with the mindset. This can also relate to other chronic disease conditions that involve the inflammatory immune system. So next slide. So I'm going to share with you 3 myths about autoimmune disease. In myth number 1, we're going to uncover the biggest myth about autoimmune disease that mainstream medicine wants you to believe. In myth number 2, we're going to uncover the shocking truth about autoimmune disease. And in myth number 3, we're going to uncover why keeping it private is actually damaging your health with autoimmune disease. So let's start with myth number 1. The biggest myth about autoimmune disease that mainstream medicine wants you to believe. And this myth is that autoimmune diseases cannot be reversed. In recent years, I experienced a very strange flare-up and change in my body. I sought help from a trusted physician who suspected that I had an autoimmune disease. Later, after getting a blood test, his suspicion was confirmed. I tested positive for a very dangerous autoimmune disease condition. I was devastated immediately. I looked up and read everything I could find about autoimmune diseases, which only made me even more upset. I was very concerned about how it developed, and I do have ideas about how it developed. But anyway, in fact, I have recently written an entire doctoral dissertation about my autoimmune disease condition. But in the meantime, I was dealing with years of excruciating chronic pain that came as a result of a very traumatic event in my life. I was using herbs to try to address pain from muscle spasms in my pelvis. The herbs did not help with my chronic muscle spasms. However, as I look back, I realized that they were actually keeping my autoimmune disease at bay. I had stopped using the herbs once I figured that they weren't working, and I continued living my very stressful teaching life. I was the head of curriculum in my subject area, and I had some milestone achievements during that time of leadership. However, my health suffered, and many of us find ourselves in a situation where we do have success in our careers, but we have that success at the expense of our health. I flared up with autoimmune disease symptoms again, and my body began to actively attack its own tissues. What had started a few years back as permanent tissue damage in my tissues began once again, and it was expected to progress into lung disease. I was told to come back in a year to get my lungs checked. I was expected to have eye problems, teeth problems, and my chances of developing lymphoma were very high. This was a very frightening time for me, to say the least. Well, I went through a lot that year, as you can see. I was a nervous wreck. I had hardly slept at all that year. I had such terrible insomnia. I had several health problems going on. Yet with my body going through so much, I still did not want to be on medications. But of course, like most people, I did go back and forth thinking about whether I should take the medications or not. But anyway, I refused to use drugs and surgery for my autoimmune disease. I wanted to heal naturally, so I decided to go to UT Pines Institute, where I was treated with natural remedies. For 17 days, doctors, health educators, and coaches taught me how to use natural remedies to heal my body. I committed to a natural healing protocol using plant foods and herbs alongside the natural laws of health, which we are very familiar with. When I left, I continued this treatment on my own for additional 3 to 4 months later. After 4.5 weeks of being on the healing program, my rheumatologist ordered some tests to check to see if it had worked. I got retested by medical technicians, and thanks be to God, all the abnormal autoimmune activity in my body had completely stopped. Finally, I was so happy, and here you can see I'm leaping for joy. Now I'm going to take you back to my severe life-threatening allergies, where I was going back and forth to the hospital over and over and over and over. In an emergency situation, drugs can be life-saving, and I appreciate that. However, was the medication really resolving my problem is the question. And the answer is no. I was in a perpetual cycle of flare-ups and relief, flare-ups and relief. And this went on for years. When I look back, I can clearly see the ridiculousness of the whole situation. The truth is that drugs do not cure disease. They only change the form and location of the disease, according to Ellen White. Drugs provide temporary relief, and you may feel well for a while. However, true healing and recovery happens when we address the root cause and help the body to overcome and heal that which actually caused the condition in the first place. And this is one of my mentors, Dr. Flood. She's a well-known naturopath, and she actually removed Hodgkin's lymphoma from her body, a type of cancer, and she simply used plants. She took a plant-based approach and had success. And this is evidence that natural healing is possible. And she actually tells her story to help others. Next slide. Now, there is a quote that I have to be on medications. How many of you know a person or persons who say that their doctor told them that they have to be on medications for the rest of their life? I do. I can recall several persons just in my immediate social circle. They take a bunch of medications every day, and they're doing this indefinitely. For example, one medication for high blood pressure, one for sugar issues or diabetes, another for inflammation, and another drug to suppress the immune system, and so on and so on. Well, guess what? I was once that person. I was once that person taking medications. I believed what my doctor told me. I was on medications because I thought that I had to be in order to survive. Yet, I stand here today having survived more than a decade of having not to be on continuous medication. The danger of being on medication. Many people take multiple prescriptions day after day, year after year. They appreciate that relief that comes with taking that drug. Yet, not once do they think about the damage that the medications are causing to their body, little by little over time. They don't think about it because their doctor did not think about it or tell them to think about it either. They all think that they're doing the right thing. The truth is that all pharmaceutical drugs are toxic. The effects of the poison that remains in the system from pharmaceutical drugs are known to cause harm later in life. And this is the danger. True healing is provided by God. We know God as the great physician. True healing is provided by God, and it is His way. It is in His way that we find success if we're willing to adhere to the natural laws of health. Some people may question, but do natural solutions really work in comparison to pharmaceutical drugs? Some people really do doubt this. Next slide. Big Pharma says there's no cure for disease, only prescriptions, right? Otherwise, we would have heard something different, right, when we were getting treatment. There is a notion that there's no cure for certain diseases, especially autoimmune diseases. When I researched about my disease condition, I never found any literature or studies showing any other treatment approach other than drugs and surgery. I even listened to stories from other people suffering from autoimmune diseases, even people who were achieving some sense of regulation and relief. And they too were using drugs and surgery. On a YouTube video that I was watching, the presenter clearly stated that there was no chance of reversing autoimmune disease. She stated that the symptoms would always be experienced in one way, shape, or form. But there are people who have overcome. After struggling for years with chronic illnesses, including Lyme disease, cytomegalovirus, Epstein-Barr virus, Ross River fever, glandular fever, chronic boils, and chronic fatigue, Jonathan Otto achieved complete healing through a plant-based approach. I just thought his story was amazing to me. Similarly, his wife Lori overcame a severe battle with lupus and healed naturally without medication, allowing her to fulfill her dream of becoming a mother. These two persons were very inspirational to me. Now, if Jonathan and Lori's story inspired you, I want you to comment yes in the comments. Have you found this valuable so far? And I want to share with you a scripture in the book of the Bible. God told us what to eat, and it turns out that this very diet is the prescription for healing and health. This was the original diet of man before the fall of man. This was perfection at its best. And this is Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. It says, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree which has fruit yielding seed. It shall be food for you." Next slide. Perhaps Hippocrates knew something about God's way. He said, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and medicine thy food." Food is a powerful medicine, and this idea consistently proves to be true. Your ability to reverse your disease begins with the food that you consumed. You are what you eat. Now, who does healing plants work for? Those recently diagnosed, anyone who has a loved one who has been diagnosed, anyone with a family history of autoimmune disease, anyone wanting to learn about the immune system, health professionals, busy professionals, people who want to help others, those who have other chronic disease conditions, and anyone with an immune system. Now, if you believe that your body can heal from disease, I want you to type yes in the comments. So we've busted that myth, right? We've busted the myth that autoimmune diseases cannot be reversed. So let's look at our next teaching point. And that's going to be myth number 2, the shocking lie about autoimmune disease. And that is that you have to accept your disease as part of your destiny. Do you believe that genetics controls your destiny? Many do. I know I certainly did. There's a notion that I was destined due to my genetic makeup. When I took a deep dive into how I developed my autoimmune disease, I studied my family history. And guess what? I have a family history of autoimmune disease issues. And it turns out that I did have a predisposition combined with other environmental triggering factors that created the perfect storm for the onset of my autoimmune disease. However, had I not had the environmental triggering factors, would I have gotten the disease? After all, I have other siblings who have no trace of autoimmune disease illness, and we have the same genetics. What we used to have to do. So this is what the things that we had to, this is the old way, right? Multiple prescription medications, anti-inflammatory drugs, conventional medical treatments, over-the-counter supplements, biopsies and surgeries, chemotherapy, immunosuppressants. These are definitely ways that conventional medicine approaches autoimmune disease. And, some of us are very familiar with going through some of this, right? And we're familiar with being on prednisone or being on immunosuppressant drugs. And some of us are familiar with words like hydroxychloroquine and there's a whole, I'm not going to go through the whole list because they're hard to pronounce, but you get what I'm trying to say. But the idea is to decrease the activity of the immune system and slow down the progression of the disease. And that was the old way. But healing naturally is now the new way. In a long battle with lupus, Dr. Brooke Goldner found herself on chemotherapy, multiple medications. She had kidney biopsy and even had kidney failure due to kidney nephritis caused by her lupus. After adopting and implementing a plant-based dietary protocol, she completely reversed her lupus and has been completely disease-free for well over a decade. And today she still remains disease-free from switching to a plant-based diet. So some people may get discouraged and they may just feel overwhelmed by all of this. So he says, what do I do if I'm overwhelmed with my recovery? Well, listen, I understand that it can be hard to find the discipline and accountability to find a new healthy way of life. However, this is where the assistance of a health coach comes in. A health coach can come alongside you and walk you through each step to ensure your success. I know that mainstream medicine says disease is caused wholly by genetics. And I'm going to share with you my aunt's story. One of my aunts has high blood pressure issues. I recently accompanied her in getting her blood pressure checked. Her systolic, that's the number on top, her systolic reading was well over 200. The medical assistant said, "Oh, don't worry, it's not your fault. It's just genetics." She asked my aunt, "Who in your family has high blood pressure?" My aunt responded, "My mother." The medical assistant said, "See? It's your genes. It's just your genes. That's it. That's the problem." Of course, I was sitting there thinking otherwise. So I was thinking that it was my genetics. And I'm sure many of you believe the same way. That's how I was thinking about my disease condition. And this way of thinking is very common among many people. Yet, I learned that I could change my destiny by changing my environment. So That does not have to be your story. And I'm going to refer again to Dr. Brooke Goldner. She says our diet is the major culprit to what causes inflammation in our bodies and disease. Believe it or not, genetics only counts for roughly 3 to 5% of inflammation and disease. And this was actually an Instagram post of the 10th Annual Food Revolution Summit. Healthy choices can change the trajectory of your life. Blaming my genetic makeup was my old way of thinking. In my new transformed way of thinking, I learned that I could change my destiny depending on my diet and lifestyle choices. I am glad that I was open to this new way of thinking because it turned my life around. I went from disease progression to disease reversal. Do you believe that your healthy choices can change your destiny? Certainly. Type certainly in the comments. By switching, okay. So our next point, our next myth that we're busting tonight is you have to accept your disease as part of your destiny. Actually, I just went over that. Sorry. I'm sorry, we busted the myth, sorry, that you have to keep your disease as part of your destiny. Sorry about that, guys. All right, myth number 3. By keeping it to yourself is actually damaging your health with autoimmune disease. So in this myth says, I have to keep my disease issue a private matter. And a lot of people think like this. But as you can see in this slide, social support is vital to your recovery. Society says that your medical condition is a private matter, and many people believe this. They will keep their disease secret until the last possible minute, and sometimes it's too late. But the Bible says in Hebrews 10:25, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much more as you see the day approaching. We are to come together regularly to encourage one another, to heal, to grow, and to improve together. And this definitely pertains to our health and disease reversal. I want to take you to the study of the Blue Zone communities, where community is actually a healing factor. Have you ever tried to change, but your family was not willing to come aboard and support you? Or maybe the close friends that you hang around with? That can be very discouraging. There are areas in the world where people live the longest called the Blue Zones. These are areas that have the highest number of centennials who live healthy, active lives. One thing that all the Blue Zones have in common is with their very healthy lifestyle, is that they all dwell and thrive in supportive communities. All the people have very strong social connections. What does this tell you? That community is very healing, and it is required for longevity and health. So now I'm going to talk more about other people's so that now I just shared with you some results. Now, adapting a new lifestyle and healthy habits can be challenging. I'm very aware of this. Having someone come alongside you to help you through this process can be extremely valuable. to provide accountability, encouragement, empowerment, support, guidance, directions, and they can help you to create a supportive community. Let's face it, we cannot do this by ourselves. From the day we were born, we have always needed help, and we've always had it in some way. No man is an island. We all need one another to grow, develop, and thrive in this world. We are not created to be alone. When you are isolated by yourself, your health can quickly decline. I recently read a story about an African American man in Black history who was placed in isolation indefinitely by his Caucasian oppressors at that time. He lasted a few months. He became severely mentally ill and eventually took his life. Our health is very much dependent on social support and community. And here is a quote by Mark Hyman, and it says, "The power of community to create health is far greater than any physician, clinic, or hospital." And I believe this is very true. So who wants to be supported and encouraged in their healing journey? If that's you, I want you to type "I do" in the comments. Food is often at the center of our social gatherings. Many people think that a plant-based diet or plant-based meals taste nasty, and they are reluctant to try a new approach that involves eating plants. However, plant-based meals and dishes can be quite delicious. When you combine and season them well, your family will be asking for more. As you continue to eat these plant-based, refreshing foods, they will cause your taste buds to change. After a while, you will no longer crave junky, unhealthy foods that only contribute to disease. Do you want foods your family would love? If you do, type yes in the comments. Now, some of you might be thinking, I don't have time to focus on my health with my busy schedule. And this is very understandable. Earlier in this presentation, I talked about being busy with career, right? At the expense of my health. Now, you may think that you don't have time to focus on your health, but guess what? Investing time in your health is not an expense. Your health becomes an expense when you fail to invest in it. And this is the cost of doing nothing. So instead of thinking about the time that it costs to work on your health, think about what it costs to do nothing. What is the cost of not investing in your health, not investing in your autoimmune disease recovery? How will this affect your loved ones? It can shorten your life. And you can have, I have a spelling error in there, sorry about that. Continued suffering, worsening of symptoms, reliance on medications, living with side effects from medications, and reduced quality of life. And we all know that this list right here can be very devastating. 1 Corinthians 6:19 says, "Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? Therefore, honor God with your body." Your body is not a trash can. It is valuable to God. It is a holy temple, a dwelling for the Holy Spirit. And we were designed to abide in community with one another. So we busted this myth that I have to keep my disease a private matter. You can't do it alone. You need your community, your support, your supportive circle, as we like to say. So we've busted the myths of autoimmune disease. Number one, myth busted number one, autoimmune diseases can't be reversed. Myth busted. Number two, you have to accept your disease as part of your destiny. Myth busted, for sure. And number three, you have to keep your disease issue a private matter. Myth busted. If you have found this presentation valuable, I would like for you to type yes in the comments. Now, Brother Shard, I don't know if you have time for more, because we've gone over an hour. Brother Shard?
Hello? Yes.
I know we've gone over the time. It's 8:39.
Yes, yes. And we do have to make some time for the questions, but we could go a little again and then we'll pause for the questions.
Okay. All right. Well, we can end the presentation here, and for the sake of time.
Oh yes. Is there a lot more slides to go again?
Well, the next part of this presentation actually involves me presenting an offer.
Oh, okay.
What we can do, thank you so much, Razia. What we can do maybe is have a part two, because we do have our Sunday evenings Bible study coming up. And
Okay.
so in the interest of time, we're going to just pause for now, and maybe we could have a part two. But we do want to have a few minutes for questions. Okay.
Okay.
Because we know and they may have questions. So
Okay.
at this point in time, we will open up for questions. Any questions? You can raise your hands and you'll be allowed to unmute yourself. You can ask a question. So it's now question time. Any questions on this evening's topic, autoimmune disease?
You can okay.
Okay, I see one here.
Hi, thank you. This is very informative, and this is great information. Thanks for sharing. There's so many questions, because I think when we hear you present on this, that maybe, I mean, you have given like generalized information, but would there be more specific things that people could do? And I think that's where the big interest is, as to how you can do this. So I guess like we will need like the part two. I don't know how much you intend to share, or where do you want to go with this, but I think there's a lot of interest in this. I have a friend who is actually suffering from autoimmune disease right now, and she's using some of those chemotherapy drugs, and she's in so much pain, and it's not an easy piece. So thank you for sharing this, but I think a lot of people, I myself, I'm interested in knowing, because I have a ton of allergies, and I also, I'm quite interested in learning more as to how to beat this, how to do this. So I'm not sure what other resources you have, or how someone would get to move forward on this.
Sure. If you would like to talk to me more, you can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm also available to talk to. I don't have Facebook. There, you can reach out to me on Facebook. You can message me on LinkedIn or Instagram. if you would like to talk further, you can also book a consultation with me, because I have a coaching program where I help people to reverse their autoimmune diseases using plants and herbs and the laws of health.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I do some Facebook. I'm not a real fan of Facebook, but I guess I could go onto that, and I just have to get. I think I'll get your name from this and do that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Any more questions? I'm not seeing, or comments. I'm not seeing any more hands.
Yes, I don't know. I came on, good evening. I came on late. I guess it was because of the time difference, because you guys, it was 6:30, right? So I logged on 6:30, but I think you probably started 5:30. So I
Okay.
think I missed most 5:30 my time. So I think I missed most of it. But if you could probably just share one slide with me on probably a list of things that you have on how to reverse autoimmune disease, then that would be very helpful.
So what I've done, I've actually put my consultation link in the chat. If you would like a free consultation, you can click this link and you'll take to my consultation link. Interested. So hopefully that will be more helpful.
Thank you. And will you be coming back with a part 2, or people can just reach out to you if they do need help?
Yeah, you can reach out. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to me. I could also send you a link to the complete masterclass, and you can actually have the entire presentation sent to your email. And if you'd like that, you can just send me, like I said, reach out to me. I just put my consultation link in the chat.
Thank you, my sister. And I'm not seeing any more hands. I'm taking it that nobody else has questions, or for persons who do need your help, they'll be reaching out to you. So thank you so very much for coming on and for joining us. And yes, I know the time has changed in Canada. I'm in Jamaica. It's now 6:46 p.m. And so we will maintain the Jamaican time, the fact that it's hosted from Jamaica. So for those who are in the States or Canada, please remember to check your time whenever we send out the flyer. My sister, thank you so much for sharing. We do appreciate the information. And I know, because we didn't get very far in terms of remedies and stuff like that, people do have questions, but hopefully you'll come back again, or they'll reach out to you to hear how they can reverse, because that's one of the things that people came on hoping to hear. But we hope that we'll have you on again and we can get further into that. We're going to be, go ahead, my sister.
Is it possible that you can send me the chat? Because I see people have put their information in the chat. Is it possible that, and I also see that people have put a lot of things they're going through in the chat. Can you possibly send me a copy of the chat so that I can reach out to these persons?
I'll try. I've never shared the chat before, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. And you can also get a copy of the recording. Did you record on your end? I believe so, where you did.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I have a recording of, I don't have a recording of the chat though, but I do have a recording of the presentation.
Okay, I'll try and get that over to you.
Okay, thank you so much.
You are most welcome, and thanks to everyone. And we'll now invite you guys on to join our Bible study. Brother Shard, over to you for this evening's Bible study.
Sis, can you put the chat in the information, please, for the doctor? I didn't get it. I just came on. Thanks.